All right. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year to all of you. We're glad to have all of you today for the very first webinar for digital solutions. We're kicking the year off with this webinar for HCL Nomad, where we will showcase the latest and greatest and also the upcoming features that we've developed so that you can find out how these newest capabilities in Nomad let you unleash the power of your Domino applications on web browsers and mobile devices. My name is Annalyn Policarpio. I'm one of the product managers for the Domino family. I share the product management duties for HCL Nomad with Tim Clark, who unfortunately can't be here today as he's attending some personal matters. And Tim sends his regards to all of you. And while we'll miss having Tim with us today, I've brought back up. So we have a fantastic lineup of speakers today. Joining me are several members of our Nomad development team who will do most of the presentation today and share demos of the key features that they've worked hard on. All right, let's get into it. Um, as a standard disclaimer, what you'll see today includes sneak peeks of upcoming features, and some aspects may still be subject to change. And also, a quick reminder in housekeeping, if you want to ask us questions, feel free to use the questions panel at any time. We have the developer team as panelists, and they'll be happy to help address your questions. Okay, that's Tim and I. As mentioned, I share the product management for HL Nomad with Tim Clark. And here is our amazing development team who've been doing a tremendous effort to deliver all of these great features for you. You'll hear some of them today as they showcase their work. And here is a lineup for today's topic. These are key features that are available today. And as I mentioned, we will have we'll show you a sneak peek of what's coming, and we'll have a Q&A at the end if we have enough time. So, without further ado, we'll start off with the first topic, what is Nomad, which is going to be presented by Max. I'll hand over the floor to you, Max. Take it away.
Thanks, Annalyn. Hello, everybody. My name is Max, and whenever we give a webinar on Nomad, we always want to make sure that everyone in the audience is on the same page. So let's first talk about what Nomad is. HCL Nomad is a lightweight client that runs your Domino applications wherever you are. Using HCL Nomad, you can run your Domino applications in your favorite web browser like Chrome, Edge, or Firefox, as well as on mobile on either Android or iOS. Since HCL Nomad is a lightweight client, there's no installation process per se. Instead, for Nomad for web browsers, your end user simply visits a web page. Because of this, there are also no upgrade rollouts, and updates happen automatically for the end user. Best of all, if you already have a CCB license for Notes Domino, then you already have access to HCL Nomad. Next slide. Now, let's talk about the Nomad Domino application profile and what Domino apps can you expect to run on Nomad. Our application profile is a subset of the Notes basic client. It is comparable to HCL Client for application access. HCL Nomad just works with support for app formula, Lotus script, offline replication, and more. There's one caveat that we want you to be aware of, and that is that we do not support Java. Because of this, we do recommend reviewing your Domino apps for Java use and consider replacing Java with another function within the Domino application profile. Next slide. The best part of HCL Nomad is that it works wherever you work. HCL Nomad for web browsers is platform agnostic, meaning you get the same great experience no matter if your workstation uses Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. It does this by running in your favorite web browser. So we currently support Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. And if you're using Domino apps on the go, then we've got you covered. HCL Nomad runs on your Android or iOS tablet or phone. If you aren't using HCL Nomad Mobile yet, please check us out in the respective app stores by scanning the QR codes on this page. So, why HCL Nomad for web browsers? Because Nomad for web browsers gives you a lightweight Domino application experience in your browser. For your end user, it is as simple as visiting a web page. There are no plugins and no installation managers, and the client will even automatically take new updates deployed by the admin. It just works. If your business has a mixed deployment of desktop platforms, no problem. We've got you covered, as HCL Nomad for web browsers is platform agnostic and delivers the same great experience on most platforms. Just because Nomad for web browsers runs in your browser does not mean it always has to run online. Nomad supports local replication and offline use. Now, if you have been hesitant to deploy HCL Nomad because you've been using Notes for a long time and have a lot of user data baked into your Notes client, then I would recommend looking into Nomad web migration provided by Panagenda Marvel Client. It's easy. Let Marvel Client do the migration work for you. Nomad web migration is free to all users of Marvel Client, including Marvel Client Essentials users. Next slide. Finally, why HCL Nomad for mobile? Because sometimes you need to work on the go. HCL Nomad for mobile works on your mobile device. Take your Domino applications out into the field using the supported local replication and offline use. HCL Nomad for mobile even expands your Domino applications. Utilize your device's built-in GPS using the low-script class Notes GPS. Utilize the device camera for capturing images or scanning in barcodes, and you can even easily embed hand-drawn notes into your rich text fields. And so that concludes my brief introduction into HCL Nomad. And Annalyn, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Max. Now we'll get to the features in detail. All of these features that we've delivered are documented in the What's New page of the Nomad product documentation. Just feel free to scan that barcode or go to our product documentation for HCL Nomad. Okay, now some of you may recall we did a webinar back in March last year of what was delivered in the version 1011 release. And in case you missed it, please watch the recording of that webinar, which we have posted in our YouTube channel. For Nomad, we release in a quarterly basis. Here are some of the features we delivered in this release. So version 1.0.12 came out on June 2024. This is the version where we delivered the designer preview option, where it allows you to preview an element in Nomad. It could be a form or a view or a frame set to see how it would look like in, for example, in a desktop or in a phone or tablet. And we also have the new workspace, the enhanced drag and drop. All of these will be demoed by Rick in future slides. We also have a lot of restyle and modernization updates. We have the create custom application option, which we showed in one of our Domino 14.5 EAP webinars, I think. But we have a lot more to demo later, which Bob will cover in future slides as well. We have version 1013 also out and available in the market. That was released on September of 2024. This is where the Domino OIDC integration became available. This is where we leverage Domino as an identity provider. This is for a unified authentication solution. And we also have support for new functions. This came from a feature request, the at scan barcode formula function. This came out of an idea that one of you submitted and we delivered. So we will have Charles to demo the OIDC integration later and Corey to demo um, the at scan barcode formula. And we also have version 1014 that became available just recently on December last year. We have initial setup improvements, which now reduces overall setup time for Nomad in the web browser. And as promised, as I've mentioned, we have a lot of demos prepared for you. So let's get into these demos and know more about these features in detail. Starting off with the 1012 updates, which I will hand over to Rick. If you could introduce yourselves and get on with the demo.
Hi, I'm Rick Gillespie, one of the developers here. You can go to the next slide. So we've updated the workspace layout to be more like the Notes client, and with the folders on the left and the background options. I'll show you that in a minute. Go to the next thing, if you don't mind, Annalyn. There you go. And so we also added a whole bunch of drag and drop improvements, most notably in the select address dialog. There's always been this tip here from the beginning that says you can drag and drop between the names. Up until now, that's been a lie, but now it actually works. You can actually drag and drop between those two boxes. Let's go to the next slide. We'll go to the so this in this demo, I'm going to show you the new workspace first, and so you can this is more like the notes client. You can see there's different backgrounds that I'm with the folders on the left, and you can see the backgrounds that come. So there's the default, there's the dark mode, and the image that comes in that comes preloaded. You can also add your own custom background if you'd like by uploading an image. You can drag the database icons to different workspace folders, and then move them around. So here I put it back. And another interesting feature that we just added in the most recent release is that if you have a rich text field, say an email, and you want to attach some documents or attachments from your operating system file system, you can just drag those things onto a rich text field, and boom, they are attachments. And so that's it for that. Move on to the next thing, please. I think it's playing again. And there you go. So the next thing I want to talk about is the designer preview, and this is unique to Nomad Designer, so it's actually not available in the Notes client, but it lets you preview design elements in multiple form factors, so you can better tweak them for reactive designs. Go ahead and go to the next slide, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. So in this demo, go ahead. I've created a kind of a contrived example. I made a form that has some at functions that show at platform specific, at resolution width, and at resolution height in this form. And I also made, I'm showing you here a section that has hide when height is less than 400 and a hide when width is less than 800, so that we can see what happens when you go into design preview. So you go into the design preview, and you'll notice at the top there's a selector that lets you choose which device you would like to view it in. So in this case, I go into a form, and well, I want to make the screen a little bigger. Sorry about that. You'll see that when height is less than 400 is shown, but when I scroll to the right, you'll see that the width is not shown. And then when I click the landscape portrait button, I can see that they're different now. And I can also choose a tablet. You see they're both there because the dimensions of a tablet are big enough that they both show. And then there's a button to close and return to a designer. Now, if you don't like the choices that we've given you, the way to resolve that is you go to you open a new application, create a new application. You have to click on the advanced templates, and this is a new template that we're shipping. You choose design preview customization, and the file name must be design preview NSF. And so when you create this new application, these are the three options that we pre-ship with. You can either make a new one from scratch, or you can do like I'm going to do here, which is copy one and make a new copy and then edit that. And so what I did is I took my Android Pixel phone, and I had a rich text form, and I put all those at functions in there, and I viewed that form in my Android phone, and wrote down on a piece of paper all the numbers I saw from those functions. And so here I'm going to enter the width, height, and the 4 parts of an at platform specific that I got from the when I did that with my Android phone. And so this will be exactly as you would see with an Android phone. Because I want this to show up in between the desktop option and the other phone option, I set this priority here to 25. And you can see that the priorities are sorted in the list here. So when I hit save, you'll see there the Pixel 9 is second in the list. And all I have to do is close that database. And now when I go into the design preview, you'll see that there's this new option here. There's my Pixel 9. And the numbers are exactly what I entered in the customization. So you can customize which sizes you want for your own design preview. And I believe that's all I have, Annalyn.
All right, thank you, Rick. And now we'll move on to the next section, which is the resale updates that's going to be presented by Bob.
Thank you, Annalyn. So I am presenting this mostly on behalf of Aperva, who did the work, but in this case, we are going to talk about some new features in Restyle, and in particular, where you can restyle an application with the information here. So let's get it in here, and you will notice that there are new choices. So there are 3 new things here on this screen. So we give you the information on the history. So this was last restyled by the Nomad demo user and when it was done, so that you can use this information to find out if you know what that person did or anything else like that. There's also a 4th theme. So we used to have the 3 themes that are shown there, with the 4th one now being dark colorful action bar, which is a combination of the colorful action bar and the dark outline. So people had asked for that. So we've added that 4th theme. But the 3rd thing that's new here is that you can import from another application. So let's say I'd already done the work to restyle demo number 1, and it had all the settings that I wanted. And so I just want to use those again for this other application. So if you want to come up with basically a corporate set of things to do, you could put them in one application and then reuse it from application to application rather than having to pick everything here in the restyle wizard again. So you'll notice that the color changed and the theme changed to simple. But of course, if you want to customize it further, it really just preloads all of that information here into the restyle wizard. So if you wanted to not do subforms, you could uncheck subforms or any of those other combinations of things. So it doesn't force it to do the application with exactly what was in the other application. It just loads up those settings so that you have them to use in this application and possibly customize from that point forward. The next video here is regarding custom app creation. So instead of creating new applications that are just blank, which isn't very exciting, it doesn't have much in it, we have this new template called Create Custom that allows us to create an application with some basic information in it so that it has a view and a form and other basic information like that. So you can create this custom application, and it has a very similar feel to the Restyle wizard, and you pick a theme, same themes as before, but here's where it differs. Define data. So this allows us to define more information about our application rather than it being completely empty. So we can create a form and a view, and we can create fields that we want to have when we create data. So this data can be created manually. So we're going to do that here by adding our own fields. So we're going to add an employee field, which is just a text field. So that's the default and that kind of stuff. If you want it to be sortable, you have this checkbox, and you can add the field to your list of fields that we're going to create. But you can create as many fields here as you want. And you can also pick different data types. So let's add a field that's called cost and pick the currency type. If the field type has additional information, you'll be able to specify it here, such as decimals and that kind of stuff. So it is specific to the field type. If you want to resort them, you can make employee first, cost first, you can move them up and down, you can remove them, you can add them back again, all that kind of stuff until you build your application. Similar to Restyle, you can pick what kind of icon you want to have. So in this case, we're going to create a new custom icon. So you can see that I now have an application that looks like it was blank, had some views and forms, and was restyled in the fact that it has the color and the theme that we want. And so you can see that the forms are usable. So we'll create a record here. So we create the record for John, and it has the restyled checkboxes and everything else like that are here. But sometimes you already know what you want to have in your application, or you want to be able to define a whole lot of different fields at the same time. So we allow you to specify a comma separated value or CSV file that has that information in it. So let's run through the new application again, and this time we're going to pick to import using the CSV file. So let's pick a different color so we know that it's different, and then let's import from the CSV file. And the CSV file is fairly simple at this point, so let's take a preview of that file, and we will see that it has the field definitions as the first row. So this is what we consider the design is the first row. And then the data are all the other rows that follow. So we are going to either import just the fields at the top, which is when we pick the file here, we can do is import only design, or you can bring in the design and the data. For the sakes of this demo, we're going to bring in the design and the data. So let's pick that and go to next. This time we'll just leave the default icon just to be different than we were on the previous one. And you can see that now we have the application. We have the orange color, we have all the fields, we have all the data that got imported, and you can create the fields just like we did on the previous one, which I won't bother to show here. But this gives you some more flexibility as far as creating applications from scratch, rather than just having to do an empty application and come back and then restyle it afterward. So it's kind of a pre-restyled application kind of thing. Also, along the lines of keeping the data in the restyled view is when you create a new form on an application that has already been restyled. So if I've taken the time to restyle the application, I want to create a new form. I don't want the things on the form to have the old format before the restyle. I want it to have the same restyled already features and things. So if you create a field now, it'll default to the native OS style, and that will allow it to use the already restyled settings. So for example, if we create this section, you'll see that the section comes in and it has the restyled font color. So it's not just black or with the default greenish teal selector. It has the restyled application color that we picked from the theme. This applies to more than just the sections or the colors. If I pick a table here, you will see that the table gets created and it will have the border and the fonts and information that has. So it has the lighter gray rather than just pure black for the border color and everything else. Of course, you can always customize these again, but they at least start with the restyled application settings that you'd already picked for everything else in your application that previously existed. So again, trying to get you to restyle your application and then continue to grow it from that point in a way that looks coherent and together. And those are the main things that are new in the restyle. So check it out and hopefully it works well for you.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Bob. On to the next section. This is the Domino OADC integration, which I will hand over to Charles.
Thank you, Annalie. Hello, everyone. This is Charles. I'm a developer in Nomad web team. So today I'm excited to show you the integration of Nomad Web with Domino OIDC provider. With Domino OIDC, Nomad Web can leverage all the authentication methods provided by the Domino HTTP task. That's including passkey and TOTP. Additionally, Nomad federated logging is also supported with Domino OIDC. Next, I will demonstrate some basic use case for OIDC integration. So after logging, user get to the OIDC login page. This page has a username, password, and also configured as login with passkey. Admin can also set up other authentication methods supported by Domino. Here we just log in through username and password. After logging in, user is redirected back to Nomad Web to continue the setup process. The OIDC provider supports Nomad federated logging, so the ID vault can be configured to trust the OIDC provider and send the user's ID file to the browser through nRPC protocol and without user ID password prompt. So the user then will land on the recent app page, and from now, user can open databases or perform other operations as usual. Here we just open a mail database, for example. And after finished, user can go to user profile to log out. When logging out, the user will first log out from Nomad Web and then be redirected to the OIDC. It's stuck. User can then be redirected to the OIDC provider's page to choose whether to be able to log out from the OIDC provider. So Annalie, I'm not sure it's just me or are you also stuck here? Okay, so now it's working. So this is the OIDC logout page. User can choose to log out to the logout provider. After logging out, user will be redirected back to Nomad Web, and then from here, user can log in through OIDC provider again. So we have detailed documentation for configuring the Nomad server with the Domino OIDC provider, including how to enable OIDC provider on Domino server and registrating the Nomad server as a client through the OIDC provider, and also the Nomad config YAML file changes to tell Nomad server to do authentication through Domino OIDC. We have another documentation for configuring Nomad federated login through OIDC, including the necessary changes for the ID vault to trust the access token generated by Domino OIDC provider, and also Nomad config YAML file changes to enable Nomad federated login. And all the documentation are based on Domino 14 Fixback 2. That's all for my demo. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Charles. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is about the accessibility, which will be covered by Daniel Manning today.
Thank you, Annalyn. So in the past few releases, we have been focusing on improving accessibility in Nomad to include support for keyboard navigation using Tab and Shift Tab, increased zoom levels, and screen reader. This effort aims to make HCL Nomad accessible to as many users as possible, no matter their ability. We are also making developments in this area to be compliant with the European Accessibility Act 2025, with expected full compliance by our June 2025 release of Nomad for web browsers. Next slide. So all navigation in this recording is done using keyboard Tab and Shift Tab. Because the recording has no audio, the contents that would have been read out by the screen reader are displayed in the speech viewer window on the right. The screen reader that we have targeted for supporting is NVDA for Windows. So this is a test database and document with a variety of fields and controls. And as I tab through each of the controls and make changes, the field names and values are read out by the screen reader, and field descriptions, if applicable. Field states, such as checked or unchecked for checkboxes and radio buttons, are also read out by the screen reader. So going through here, we can skip a little bit, and after editing the document, the escape key is pressed to close the document, and then we can confirm saving that by pressing enter on the yes button. So we'll wait for the demo to get a little bit farther. Here we have a variety of checkboxes, radio button controls. We have a combo box and sections and rich text editors as well. And on the right-hand side, for example, you can see the label associated with that control, the type of control it is, and the value that that control may have. So after we go through this list of controls, we're going to close the document here and save it. And one more thing I'd like to show is the info box panel and information about this document. And Nomad also supports increased zoom levels up to 200% for visibility. So I'm going to demo that in a second. So here we can use the browser hotkeys of Command plus and Command minus to increase and decrease the zoom levels. That's it for the accessibility demo. Thank you, Annalyn.
All right, thank you, Daniel. And just wanted to add to that, as Daniel mentioned, we're working towards declaring HCL Nomad, specifically the web client, to be accessible in compliance to the European Union law. The target for that is by June 2025 release. Okay, moving on. All right. Now we're done with the web clients. Let's switch over to what's happening in the mobile world. We have Corey Keane and Max Sutton to do demos of the features that we have delivered for the HCL Nomad mobile clients. Corey, take it away.
Yep, thanks. Corey Quinn, one of the Nomad developers. Go ahead, go to the next slide. I'm just going to cover real quick some of the new features that have come out in HCL Nomad. I'm going to demo a few of these items. So up first is the offline mail send. So if you're trying to send a mail in Nomad and your device is not connected to the network, airplane mode, etc., what we'll do now is save a local copy of that mail file or mail document, and then when the client reconnects to the network and can connect to the Domino server, go ahead and send that off automatically. Very similar to what Notes Client does. And this is currently supported iOS, and it's coming soon for Android. Also in the mail space is inbox automatic refresh. So this just if you have the inbox open and Nomad and you're just kind of working away on other stuff, if you get new mail, comes to the Domino server now, Nomad will automatically refresh the inbox view so that mail will be visible in the mail view. And that's supported currently on all 3 Nomad platforms. In 2023, we did quite a bit of work on a rich text edit toolbar. So I'm going to demo that on an iPad. I do want to mention, I apologize, I don't have a demo on the phone, but I want to mention that the user experience is slightly different on a phone. You'll see a subset of the items in the toolbar with little ellipse. You click that ellipse and it'll grant you access to all the features that I'm going to show on iPad. So it is all available there. We do have additional font support. This is for iOS and web. Essentially allows the user to leverage the fonts that are installed on that platform. I'm going to demo that real quick. Nomad federated login. So this is a configuration option which allows you to set up your environment so your Nomad users, the mobile users, when you log in through a Nomad server, will not be required to enter a Notes ID password. Essentially makes the Nomad client work very similar to the web client. So that's just an option if it's if desired for configuration. Image resize dialog. With the high fidelity of cameras these days, we wanted the ability to shrink the image when you import it to make fit your content better. I do want to note that this is a shrink only. There's no enlarge capability. So if you're starting with a smaller image, you may see a subset of the shrink items. And if the image is actually quite small that you're starting with, you might not see this dialog at all. But there's going to be a small, just a quick demo on that. And then last up here on this page is the @scan barcode. That's a new feature that we have in 2024. That's a formula function which will allow you to programmatically evoke the barcode scanner and process that data as desired. And that is available on iOS and Android, and I'm going to demo that as well. So let's go ahead and move to the demo. You can go ahead and play that. The visual aid here is an iPad using external keyboard. All this content here was created on iPad. I do want to mention that all these features are available pretty much everywhere on the Nomad clients, but there are a few differences. I'll try to point those out. So first up is the expanded font support that I mentioned. So essentially, whatever fonts available on the platform will now be in the drop-down list. As such, this list will vary a little bit by platform, but it's important to note that any font already in use in the document will always be in that list. With the font stylings, it's just reflected in the toolbar. Very easy to change different styles used in the Nomad clients. Strike through, superscript and subscript were added via a little drop-down menu, allows for some more complex editing. The color picker was updated for mobile, very easy to change color individual elements. Spell checking is a nice feature that comes on iOS and Android. You just long press on your misspelled word, and you get all the choices there. And you click one to autocorrect. Bullets, numbers, checkboxes, very easy to use and manage on Nomad. The checkboxes are touch selectable on the mobile clients. And of course, you got indent, outdent, which allows you to format however needed. The alignment is available via a little drop-down menu. And just FYI, I'm just double tapping on a word to select it, and then you can drag those anchors to increase or reduce the selection criteria. All of our insert now are under a plus icon, and it just gives you the different options. Here's just a add in a simple hyperlink. Capture drawing right now is only available on iOS, but allows you the ability to either do a little sketch or capture initials, etc. The attach and import will give you three options: take a picture, choose from camera roll, or choose from files. For attach, it's these all behave pretty much the same. It's just going to insert that file with a thumbnail right to that location and the rich text field. And for import, this is where you're going to see the shrink image. So we're actually importing that content directly into the document. So you want to be able to change the image size to meet your content. Choose from files, when you do an import, will actually import the content of that file directly into the rich text field. In this case, we're just going to use a simple text file, for example, and it just imports that content right into the document. And then last but not least here, for rich text edit, is the import from QR or barcode. In this scenario, it'll invoke the barcode scanner, and we'll simply insert that directly into the rich text field. That's my segue into the new feature we have, which is the @scan barcode, where you can programmatically invoke the barcode scanner. It'll return a string value, and then you can process that string value. This is available for the web designer now, and it's in plan for the 14.5 Notes Designer product. And so I have a quick demo on that. We're just going to capture the result, and I'll put it to a message box. And here we're just scanning a QR code. Now, one thing to note is if the @scan barcode is not supported on your platform, it will return an empty string. And that's my segue into the next thing I want to show, which is just using the app platform is a great way to customize your applications for the mobile products or any of the Nomad or Notes products. App platform has two forms: your basic and your specific. The basic returns a string. We'll show here, and the string will be either iOS, Android, web browser, or the client that your Notes client's running on. The app platform specific will return a string list of items, includes the platform, the version. In the mobile space, it'll tell you the form factor, which would be tablet or phone, and then all three Nomad products will report the screen resolution. I do want to point out that we made a change to the resolution string. This is pretty recent. It used to be width, comma, height, and we found that the comma can sometimes be interpreted by a Notes client as a string list separator character. So we changed that to be width, lowercase x, than height. So just be aware of that if you're processing that string. And so just a summary, the app platform is a great way to customize your applications. So the one thing I didn't talk about here that we spent a lot of time on 2024 is the updated tab experience. And Max is going to talk about that next. So that's it for me on the Max, and next slide.
Thank you, Corey. So we have been updating the user experience on Nomad Mobile across multiple releases. We started with an updated search experience, then the toolbar experience, and we most recently have updated the tab experience. So as part of that update, we've added the global action bar, and that gives users quick access to various parts of the application. So let's go ahead and take a look at a demo. So I don't know if you could go to the next slide. So when you first open Nomad for mobile, you are shown our home screen. You can open a recently opened application or navigate between our pages using our global action bar on the bottom of the screen. In the action bar, you'll see 4 buttons. The home button will navigate you to the home page. The replication button will navigate you to the replication page used for managing your local replicas. And the open application button will open the open application dialog for locating and opening a specific Domino application. Finally, the tabs icon will open the new tab overview. This page will show all of the currently open tabs conveniently organized by application, with the most recently visited being located at the top. In order to navigate to a specific tab, you can just tap on the tabs tile. Once we have opened a tab, you'll see the controls now available have changed. Since I have a view open, I can search it by tapping the search icon on the top right. This will display the search bar, and we can easily search for a record by typing out a query and pressing search on the keyboard. We can open a record by double tapping it. On phones, the updated tab bar sits on the bottom of the screen. The tab bar displays the name of the currently open tab. The tab bar also has the X button for closing and the tab overview button for displaying the tab overview page. We can easily navigate between open tabs of the currently opened application by dragging the tab bar left or right. Dragging the tab bar to the right will cause the application to open the previously opened application view. We can easily navigate back to the document by dragging the tab bar in the other direction. Using this method, we're able to easily navigate through all of the open documents for this application. So this is a press down on the tab bar, and we are just panning to the left or right to basically scroll or swipe through our open documents. We can open the tab overview by tapping the tab overview button. In the tab overview, we can close tabs by pressing the X button of the tab tile that we desire to close. You can close all the tabs for an application by pressing the X all button on the main application tile. We've also updated Nomad to hide the Nomad UI when in landscape mode. So first, let's navigate to an application here, and we'll move the device into landscape mode. So this allows for more of your Domino application to be front and center, and it makes it easier to view and edit content. Going back into portrait mode will re-show the Nomad controls. And of course, you can always navigate back to the home page from the tab overview. If you ever find yourself needing a refresher on these new features, we've added Show Tutorial to the Nomad menu. The Nomad menu is available by tapping the Nomad icon in the top left. Go to Help, then tap Show Tutorial. This tutorial will highlight the unique new functionality in Nomad Mobile. Now let's take a look at the updated tablet experience. On tablets, we have the same global action bar with home, replication, open application, and tabs. When viewing a tab, the tablet experience includes the tab bar on the top of your opened application. Excuse me, the tablet experience includes the tab bar on the top with all of your opened tabs. You can, of course, switch between those tabs using the familiar tab bar, and you'll notice the tabs are now grouped with their corresponding application. At any time, if you would like to manage your tabs, you can open the tab overview by tapping the tab overview button on the top right of the screen. And like on phone, here you can easily review open tabs and close them. So this has been a brief demo of the updated tab experience on Nomad Mobile. This new functionality is available today on Android and iOS, and we hope you enjoy the updated user experience.
All right, thank you very much, Max. If you haven't tried HCL Nomad on Android or iOS, feel free to download them. They are available in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. All right, now let's get on to the upcoming features. These are the sneak peeks of the features that we are going to be delivered in future releases of the Nomad web clients. Starting off with the same time integration, we have Daniel back to demo this section.
So there are 2 points of same-time integration in Nomad for web browsers that I'll be demoing, and that is displaying the number of unread messages in the chat icon in the nav bar, and opening a business card to get user information and online presence for that user. Next slide. So first, we'll open up same time by clicking on the chat icon in the nav bar. A prompt will open if we need to log in to same time. Here I'm logging in as test user 5, and that's the same user that I have Nomad open for. So after going through the login page, I'm going to go back to Nomad, and then I'm going to open an incognito window to same time for the purpose of showing communication between two different users. In that new window, I'll be logging in as a test user 4, so a user that's different from user 5. And then I will be initiating conversation to user 5 and showing what that experience looks like with the same time integration in Nomad. So here I have a chat window open with test user 5. I'm going to send a message to that user. And if I go back to Nomad, the chat icon button in the nav bar now has a notification badge indicating that I have one unread message. And I'll click that icon to open up same time to read that new message. And when I go back to Nomad, the unread badge count is cleared from the nav bar. So next I'll show the business card functionality. I'll open up my inbox here, and then I'll click on user 4's name in the from field of an email. And here we have contact information from the directory about that test user, their same time online presence, profile picture if available, and a button to open a chat window with that user. And so we've opened up a chat window and send them a message. And you can see that that message has been received in user 4's same time. So changes to a user's online presence are also reflected in the same time business card. Here I changed test users 4's status from available to away. The final thing I'll show here is test user 4 will send multiple messages to test user 5. And so we get an unread count of 3, which is now reflected in the chat icon button in the Nomad nav bar. And like before, after reading the thread, the unread badge now goes away. And that's all I have for the same time integration demo. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The next piece is the COM integration, which will have Dan Dumont present.
Feature lets you use your pre-existing Notes applications that interface with Windows COM APIs with minimal changes depending on how complex your integrations are. Can we start the install or the video for the install? Here we're installing a helper application to bridge the gap between the browser and the Windows operating system. We'll agree to the user agreement and type in the deployment location of our Nomad server. This will set up your Windows client to be able to install the extension and all the pieces necessary to communicate with Windows. Afterwards, we can open Chrome and log into Nomad. And once we're logged in, we can open a database that has existing COM integrations with Excel. We'll select a couple documents and export their content to an Excel workbook. And you can see here the data has been exported. We can make the window bigger, and all of the columns that include more complex data types are showing properly. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Dan. And then this is the final demo. I think we have the Designer and Restyle in Other Languages by Doug. Take it away.
Hi, my name is Doug Conway, and I'm going to show you a quick look at Nomad Designer and Restyle in other languages. So we didn't show in previous demos today Designer. It's been in the product for about a year. If you have Designer full access to a database, a local database or a remote database, you will have access to designer aspects of that. Up until our next release coming up, you are only able to do that in English. Next slide, please. So here, if you can start the demo. Here I'm showing that I'm going to be picking an application and opening in Designer. I happen to be in German in this browser. And as you can see, the UI elements, not for this application, because this application was in English, but the designer itself, all of it has been translated into German. So for our international users, this would be very useful because up until now it's only been in English. So we can go to the next demo and start the recording. So here you can see Restyle, which we showed earlier in our presentation, is now available in other languages as well. Here I'm showing it in Chinese simplified, and you can restyle applications in your language of choice. And again, this will be coming up in our next quarter release this March. And it'll be available, both Designer and Restyle will be available in all the languages that Nomad supports. And that's it for the demo.
Awesome. Thank you so much to our development team for all the great demos that you showcased today. These features are available today. Please do try them out. And for the upcoming features, please watch out for them. And if you have a new idea in mind, new features request for, you know what to do. Tell us what you want, post it, and raise an idea in our idea portal. Just scan a barcode or go through our go through that link, and then we'll evaluate your submissions. And we'd also like to invite you to leverage and use our HCL Digital Solutions Sandbox. We have one available for HCL Nomad. Just sign up and register and request for access, and you can test your applications, how it would look like on HCL Nomad. It's very easy. There's a pretty easy process that you can follow and how you can use this sandbox. So please do try it out today. And for this one, I've shown this slide in the Domino 14.5 webinar, EAP webinar we did in December. You can see here the planned schedule for the Nomad releases. This is for Nomad Web, as well as for Verse. If you are already on Domino 14, version 14, you'll get the update notifications for new versions of Nomad and the other components as well. So this is the planned timeline. Just some disclaimer, this could still change. All right, and with that, we are entering into the Q&A portion. I think we still have a few minutes left to address some of the questions you've posted over the chat. If we could have our presenters go on speaker mode again, if you could pick some of the questions that have been raised,
Sure.
and we
Sure,
can answer
Adeline,
that live.
I'll ask one. So Dinesh Shindri, sorry if I mispronounced, is asking if there'll be a recording of this session.
Yep, this session is being recorded, and as usual, we will post the recording in our YouTube channel, and we'll also feature that in the support forum. So please watch out for it. Will be available in the next couple of hours, hopefully. All right, other questions?
Go ahead, Bob.
So most of the questions have been answered, so I think that is good. But there were a bunch of questions around, do I have to do anything to my applications? Do they just work? Do I have to customize anything and that kind of stuff? The goal for Nomad is that you do not have to touch your applications. The applications that you have, that you run in the Notes client, you just run them in the Nomad clients, any of the Nomad clients, and that kind of stuff. So not having to touch the applications. If you want to customize them and you want to change the form factors for various things, like Rick demoed, with the preview of the different form factors and that kind of stuff, you certainly can, but the goal is not to have to do that. There were also plenty of questions around the operating systems or what is supported. And of course, that differs between the Nomad server, which runs on the Domino server, and the web browser, and what application operating systems the browsers support, that kind of stuff. I think we answered most of those. There was a question around there were a few questions around different features, some of those which got referred to the AHA idea, which was the link that Annalyn showed just a few slides ago. So look for features that already exist there. Some of them where people were asking about, you can vote on them there and promote them to be worked on. I would also add to the sandbox information that if you want to test out your own applications, you can in the sandbox. There's a way for you to upload your own applications. It's in a sandbox, and it is restricted to your own company and the HCL people that manage it. So not other people who are in the sandbox can use it, and you can try out your applications there if you don't want to just install the Nomad server and run it in your own environment, which you can do. The other part about the sandbox is that it is a preview. So right now it's currently running the 1.0.14 Nomad for web browsers client, and it is going to have a 1.0.15 build before 1.0.15 comes out. So if you want to preview any of the things that are coming out, including the stuff that Doug showed at the end for the restyle or the designer in the different languages, that will be on the sandbox shortly, and that gets updated periodically in between releases. So if you want to be on the bleeding edge of things, you can test stuff in that environment. I think there were a bunch of other questions we've all answered. Hopefully they were relatively specific and don't need to be discussed here, but those were some of the general themes that ran through it.
All right. And thank you, Bob, for that. I think we're almost at the top of the hour. Again, we invite you to leverage the HCL Digital Solutions on Sandbox. Here's the link again. We'll share the presentation as well after this webinar. And yeah, you can replay the recording for later. I hope this session has been informative for all of you. I'd like to thank all our speakers today and the rest of the development team. Thank you all for your hard work. And thank you as well for all of our customers and all of our partners for all your continuous support for our products. And there will be more webinars upcoming this year. Please do watch out for future events that we will post in our external sites, and we'll also send invites to all of you for those webinars. And with that, I don't think there are any more questions in the chat. With that, we will conclude this session. I would like to thank all of you again and have a great day. And thank you all and have a nice day. All right, thanks everyone. Happy New Year. Bye.